I get to interview all sorts of amazing creators, activists, entrepreneurs, while we're doing things in the wellness world, while we're having real conversations around how these people decided to break out of their lane and create a 360 diversified background for themselves. Today's episode of Legacy, we have the one, the only, Gary Vaynerchuk. We are at his offices right now at VaynerMedia, and I'm gonna give him, I'm not personally giving him a manicure, but we're gonna get manicures together while we have a conversation on what Gary's sweet sauce is all about. I've been on his podcast twice and I've never interviewed him, so we'll see how this goes. He is a very busy man, but I just thought, I'm sure he hasn't had a manicure in a while, so here we are. We're gonna get Gary Vee manicured up and have a little chat. I'm excited for this one. Okay guys, Gary has entered the chat. So I just asked Gary if he's ever had a manicure on camera before, and the answer was?
I've never had a manicure in my life.
This is gonna be good. I feel like Mona's also gonna appreciate this.
She's gonna be hyped.
Okay, so first of all, I just wanna tell you that I used ChatGPT for some of these questions that I put together. I thought you would.
Gotta be a practitioner. Gotta be a practitioner. Can't talk about AI, gotta use it.
Okay, so at the end of the day, I'm just gonna jump us right in because I don't wanna dilly-dally. I know we're on the clock here.
You got it.
Okay, so you've spoken a lot about the importance of self-awareness.
Yes.
And you're knowing your own strengths and weaknesses. So when you were transitioning out of your dad's wine business,
yes,
how did you identify the skills and passions that you wanted to pursue as an entrepreneur?
There was a level of self-awareness, but also passion, right? And I talked about passion a lot in my early career, and it was because of this. When I was leaving my dad's business, it was mainly because my brother AJ was graduating from college. And I knew that I wanted to do a business with him. And it was also because I was in a family business. And for all the people that are watching or listening, family businesses work very different. They work like the following. Immigrant family businesses, like the one I was part of, which was, you don't get paid a lot, and you only get to own the business when the old man or the old woman die.
Right.
So I was starting to have these combos with my dad. I was like, Dad, I'm 34 now, I'm starting to be a big boy. And hey, by the way, I've helped build your business from a $4 to a $70 million business. I need to go do something, I think, for myself kind of thing. And so I knew that I was getting close to that transition. AJ was graduating in 6 months to a year, and I was like, crap, I gotta pick.
Right.
And back to your question on self-awareness, I said to myself, what do I like and what am I good at? And that pointed to marketing. I built my dad's business, not only because I knew wine and I educated myself very real in that.
Yeah.
It was because I did a website in 96. I did email marketing in 97.
Right.
I did Google AdWords in 2001 or 2 when nobody was doing these things. They all worked. And at this point when I was transitioning, I did a YouTube show that was crushing. I was one of the first people to have 1 million followers on Twitter. And I was like, hey, I'm good at this, and I like it.
Right.
When I sold lemonade, I literally sold lemonade as a kid, mainly because I wanted to make the sign. And but I didn't realize I didn't realize that at the time.
Right.
But back to self-awareness, I was like, oh, baseball card shows. I loved selling baseball cards, but figuring out different ways to sell them was cool.
Right.
The dollar rack, the spin the wheel, the $9 boxes. So I realized I was a marketer. That was the self-awareness. I realized I liked it because I could have done a wine thing because I knew wine really well, but I knew I liked marketing more than wine, even though I liked wine. And so I think it was just being really aware and willing to think of yourself in a different way. I had never, this is true now, I had never thought of myself as a marketer prior to the year before I started this company. I thought of myself as a businessman.
Right.
I thought of myself as a salesman. but I never thought of myself as an advertising person.
Right.
I was just doing what I thought would sell wine. And then I re-looked at myself through the lens of self-awareness and passion, because I had a life decision to make, and that's how I got there.
Okay, now with the self-awareness and passion, what fears came up when knowing that you were going to be an entrepreneur? And second half of that question is, what advice would you give to entrepreneurs who are struggling with similar concerns?
This is where I hate that the uniqueness of my life isn't a great answer, but I can give you an answer as someone who's talked to 1 trillion people.
Okay.
And here's where I'm going with that. I was such a poor student as a child. I was, after about 4th grade, not as good at sports as like the best people in sports. I had good hand-eye coordination. I was a scrapper. But I was selling stuff my whole life, which meant I got a ton of no's.
Yeah.
That by the time I got to a place of like running my dad's business or then starting my own businesses, I wasn't scared of anything.
Right. Did you feel like you had nothing to lose?
It was even better than that. I didn't care if I lost. It wasn't that I didn't have anything to lose. It was that I didn't care if I lost. I cared if I didn't try. So what I would tell everybody is the following. What were my fears? None. I've been losing all my life in school, in sports, in like business, like that I was prepared to lose again. Most people aren't prepared to lose again. Most people, the reason so many Ivy League school kids struggle as operators is they weren't accustomed to losing. When I was an investor, I realized, oh, wait a minute. And I'll tell you, it's really funny. Back to some of the movies and some of the stuff, I found that kids that weren't popular, but were Ivy League kids, did better as entrepreneurs than the kind of the lax superstar, the good-looking guy who went to like they just had too much winning.
Right.
And were scared of losing. And then the problem with a business is there's no judge and jury, it's just the market.
Right.
There's no teacher, there's no family relationships. It's just the merit of the business. So I would say I didn't have fear, but I would say to answer your question in a way that I hope brings value for the parents that are listening right now, the quicker you teach your children that losing is not only bad, but weirdly kind of cruel. Like I'm very depressed right now because the Knicks have lost the last 2 games.
Yes,
okay?
I didn't want to bring it up.
Yeah, thank you. So I flew home late last night after the game. And like, I'm sad, but secretly, I kind of like it because I like the pain like it's part of me. And I think more children, more humans need to learn how to be able to deal with adversity and losing. It'll make them happier.
All right, so you're really known for your grind. You're consistent day after day. How do you kind of keep the intensity and the focus up, specifically in the moments of like setbacks and hardships?
By not having success, especially financial or notoriety, validate anything in my life. Oh, you like that one?
Wow.
No, this is the biggest thing that people don't know about me. Like I always get scared when people are like, you're known for the grind and the hustle, because I know that there's a parallel to like burnout, and like I'm not even close to any of those things because I have incredible enjoyment in what I do, and I don't do it for the notoriety or the money. And more importantly, and you've gotten to know me through these years, it's just not my validation. I am much more associated to being nice and people knowing that to be true than I am to how many followers I have or how much money I have.
That is like, honestly, if there is one takeaway from this entire video today, I hope people listening at home can understand that their validation does not need to be through their financial successes and work commitments.
The reason, like, you know, like the people in my
work achievements. Rather.
Yeah, the people that are super closest to me, my family, and like the closest friends that go into family zones, they all know the truth, which is like, I'm crazy chill. I'm hyper when I communicate. Like I have high energy. Like
Because you're also passionate.
Yeah, I'm happy.
Right.
I'm happy because of my simplicity, which seems really crazy. I get it because I am an entrepreneur and because I do have a lot of things going on. But the thing that I think works for me, and I see it in others, but to your point, the majority of my contemporaries are very different than I am. They are, unfortunately, in my opinion, because I worry about them, too wrapped up in achievement, money, status. And social media has amplified that, but it hasn't changed that. I hate when people are like, we gotta blame social. Do we? Because my daddy's liquor store was not far from a town called Short Hills, New Jersey. And I watched all those people in Short Hills, New Jersey. When somebody got a new Mercedes, they needed to get a new Mercedes.
Right.
When somebody came into I watched people my whole life come in, buy a case of Opus One, and watch the next customer waiting and hear it because they know that person, and buy 2 cases of Opus One.
Right.
Like, it's been a flex show for life.
Right.
And, and fashion's become such a bigger part of our life, and so what brands people are wearing and this and that. And so I'm really glad we're touching on this, and I do think, especially knowing how epic your audience is, I think this is gonna help some people. Like how am I handling it all?
Yeah.
Because if it all went away tomorrow, I'd be just fine. I don't need to take another selfie. I don't need to make another dollar. I was back to I got fortunate. And I'll say this as well for everyone who's listening. The greatest thing that ever happened in my life was I grew up with very little. I was born in the Soviet Union. I came here when I was little, but I was happy. Mm-hmm. So for the first 10 years of my life, we had Dick. And I was happy every day because I have an iconic all-time great mom. Mm-hmm. And you don't need those things to be happy. And so I was born and lived in a way where I knew that wasn't a direct correlation.
Right.
A lot of people, my children included, will never know, is it the money or is it not?
Right.
And so you get caught up in this thing of okay, anytime I say money doesn't buy happiness, the comments are littered with easy for you to say, and I'm like, you don't know me like that.
Right.
You don't know me. Mm-hmm. Easy for me to say because I've actually lived it, not because I have money now that, oh, by the way, I earned. And so I think for a lot of people, they don't know. And I think, one of the great things of living a life where you go coast to coast in your journey is
Right.
You know that there are, I have unlimited people that have hundreds of millions of dollars to their name and are deeply
miserable. As someone who recently pivoted in their business, I closed the doors on HB Fit.
Yep.
How did
that feel?
You know what? It honestly, a weight was lifted.
Good.
What would I feel like you're the type of person who takes pivots in strides.
Well, it goes back to what we were talking about
earlier.
Exactly. To your point, rightfully so, because I know enough about you, you're thinking from a B2C and a B2B perspective, what is this gonna look like? Because that's the right thing to do. You're a young, ambitious woman with lots of goals and tons of stuff in front of you, and you are actually being thoughtful by saying, hey, this is something I'm very associated with. People are gonna have judgment on this. What is this gonna mean? And to your point, why I'm really excited you brought this up, and what I'm hoping people get out of this is, even if you, and this is not your case because you have too many other things that you're winning on, but let's say for everyone at home right now, even if the one thing that you're known for, the only thing that's seemingly on paper is a win for you in your career, you're not multidimensional, you're just the ice cream man. You have 4 ice cream shops, that's what you're known for, that's it. And you're at a point where it's not going well. Maybe somebody's come in and innovated and is beating you up and you're underwater and now you're taking your savings to keep up the business. These are real talks.
Yeah.
Even for that person, if something's not right, it's only causing an emotional cancer inside of you. The anxiety, the sleepless nights, the passive aggressive ways you're acting with the people around you because you're not happy.
Right.
It's just a weight. And the reality is even with all the judgment, you've got to get into a place and saying, look, here's the thing that works for me when I do it. Hey, I'm gonna have to take this L. It's really not fun. I don't want to. There's going to be a news cycle, and everybody has a news cycle. Some people only have 4 relatives that are part of the news cycle. Other people have 100 million followers. The answer to the question is humility. The reason I can deal with it in stride is because I always, after I think it all the way through, go to this final place. Who gives a shit what the fuck I'm doing? When, not if, when I have entrepreneurial failures in the future, what will allow me to do it and make me take it in stride is realizing that I don't mean that much in the world at the end of the day. I also have a lot of compassion for people that are in the business of gossip and tearing people down.
Totally.
Like what a miserable
Yeah.
life reality to be in, where you're spending all your time tearing other
Criticizing.
people's, realities down. Honestly, as long as you gave it your best effort, then I admire people that take those chances.
Yeah, you're gonna get buffed. You're not gonna do any color on
Understood.
your nails.
Though, I've been very bullish on male makeup for a long time.
Have you?
Yeah.
Last question, really,
Please.
before our quick fire round, because you're almost done. Last night I was at this dinner, and this
Yes.
emotional intelligence coach was, having this amazing conversation. And she mentioned something about, like, you know how we're always just like looking to talk about or engage in personal growth.
Yes.
She was kind of saying that she knows who she is, and she's 47 years old, and she doesn't want to keep growing. But that she wants to keep evolving, and that those are two different things.
Do you know what I hear when I hear that?
Tell me. That's why I wanted to.
And I'm 47, so that makes me excited. I'm so in love with this person without knowing them. You know what she's saying? I don't want to judge myself. The nuance of evolving versus growth is when you are in this game of growth, if you watch the people that are most obsessed with it, they're over judging themselves. They're subtly beating themselves up, like, I need to be better. I gotta be better.
Right.
I'm not good at this. I think what she's saying, quick hot take on hearing that, because it really hit me in my chest, because I'm very similar, is I don't want to beat myself up. I think the reason, by the way, back to the last thing, that so many people are judging everyone else is because it starts at home.
Right.
They're judging themselves.
Right.
And the way they're dealing with that pain, because they keep beating themselves up, is they deploy it to others.
Right.
So, when I hear that, that makes sense to me. I think we've got to find a way to be less judgmental on ourselves. But to her point, you always want to evolve.
Right.
But I understand, I think I understand where she's going.
Yeah, it was interesting because when she first started talking about, like, kind of getting over this idea of constant growth, I was kind of like saying to myself, well, but there's so many things that I want to accomplish and do. And then she moved into this, it's not about, like, you can still evolve within yourself, but the constant idea that you're not satisfied with yourself is, and I found it just, like, really beautiful. I thought you were going to like that.
To check my phone to make sure there's no fires.
Mine is to not check my phone.
Yeah, and again, I want to stay here because I think these value people. That's what's so cool about the world. I would argue for most people it's not to check their phone.
Right.
But for me, I love being accountable and responsible to my world, and I know that gives me peace of mind.
Right.
Look on the phone, make sure that no one's had a horrific event, that the Singapore office didn't have a fire. Like, it'd be grossly negligible for me, based on the bet I've made, for me not to look. And a quick look actually then makes me calm. With a lot of cream. So I'm not a coffee purist like I am a wine purist. I like the sensation of the mouthfeel of cream.
Oh, wow. Okay, for me, it's a pistachio latte.
Yummy. No. That's a good one. I would go with sauna.
I think I would too.
I really think well in that environment, which I enjoy.
I love a sweat.
There is a 1,000-mile garage sale that happens in August of every year. It goes from Tennessee to and I've been dying to go because I love garage selling is genuinely a hobby of mine. So I would go to a small town in Tennessee to the garage sale.
Wow. Okay, really wasn't expecting that answer. I would probably go to the Grand Canyon. I've never been, and I feel like where I am in my life, I could use some expansiveness.
I love that.
Yeah.
I haven't. What's really interesting though is a diet fad, even though I don't think it's a fad, I think it's probably really real, is something I've done pretty much my whole life. I fast often, and I don't mean the modern one that's 18 hours and this, that. I mean 30, 40, I really love the feeling of a fast. And at this point in my life, I'm fasting almost once a week. And I mean from dinner on a Monday at 9 until Wednesday dinner. So 48
Are you having
hours.
water?
I am having water, and I'm having, again, not a considered modern fast, because I am having coffee at times and sometimes cream, which I know disqualifies it from what people consider fasting. But I do not put a single piece of food in my body for 48 hours, probably every week. You like that one?
That was mind-blowing, wow.
Right, Dust, you see it, like a lot.
I feel like that's actually probably
good.
weirdly good for your cells, because people do these water fasts once a week, and their cells regenerate at a very interesting rate. I've tried them all, so can't tell you. But I don't do anything now besides eating for my hormones.
Thank you.
And that's what we have for you. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
This was the best.
Thank you.
I'm gonna just stay here while I finish
Do
up
your
my
thing.
manicure.